Okay. The public hearing for December the 13th, 2018 at City Hall at 7 p.m. is called to order. Roll call, please.
McKeever.
Here.
Myers.
Here.
Wireball.
Here.
Trucca.
Here.
Sack.
Here.
Foe.
Here.
Schott.
Here.
I'm sorry, I forgot the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The public hearing has been called to consider a proposed amendment to the Bucyrus City Zoning Ordinance per the request of the Bucyrus City Council Planning Committee. Under consideration for this, at this meeting is item 1, amending Bucyrus Codified Ordinance 1173.02, permitted uses, making the following addition. An N item, veterinary offices, not including outside boarding of animals. I skipped over a couple introductions here. We have the chairman of the planning committee, Mark McKeever, is here with us this evening. Landon Hill is our zoning administrator, and Rob Ratliff is the law director. Notice for this public hearing was published in the Bucyrus Telegraph Forum on November the 9th, 2018. Today, anyone interested in expressing his or her opinions about the proposed changes may do so by approaching the podium. Each is asked to state his or her name, address, and whether he or she is a proponent or an opponent of the proposed changes. 5 minutes will be allotted each guest. Everyone is asked to keep in mind that this public hearing is being held only to share information. No decision will be made at this time, and all information presented this evening will be considered by the planning committee at a later date. All references regarding the zoning laws are from the amended City of Bucyrus zoning ordinance effective April 19th, 2002. We are here to amend section 1173 entitled Permitted Uses. Bucyrus City Planning Commission recommended in a letter to council dated October the 16th, 2018 that it was favorable to amending section 1173.02. Do we have any communications?
We have two communications that are relevant to this public hearing. The first letter is dated November 6th to City Council from the zoning administrator, Landon Hill. It's regarding proposed addition of veterinary offices as a permitted use in the general business district. In researching the proposed zoning changes for East Mansfield Street, I came across an inconsistency I felt needed addressed. Veterinary offices are explicitly listed as a conditional use in the neighborhood business or NB district per Bucyrus Codified Ordinance BCO 1171.03A. However, there is no explicit use for veterinary offices in the general business or GB district per BCO 1155.02B1. Only a use designated as permitted shall be allowed as a matter of right in any zoning district, and any use not so designated shall be prohibited. As we currently have several veterinary offices in the GB, and I feel the use is in line with the purpose of the district, I suggest the addition of veterinary offices, not including outside boarding of animals, to BCO 1173.02C as a permitted use in the GB. The proposed change was reviewed, approved, and referred to council by the Planning Commission meeting on October 15, 2018. Sincerely, Landon Hill, zoning administrator. We also have a letter from Dr. Todd Strickland. This is addressed to the zoning administrator. I read this at the last public hearing that we had on the East Mansfield Street zoning changes, but this is also really more relevant to this proposal. I wish to take this opportunity to voice my support of the potential change for the addresses including 1319, 1325, and 1401 East Mansfield Street from neighborhood business to general business. I can personally attest to the anticipated commercial benefit of this proposal for at least one of my tenants and in turn myself. The only caveat I must require is the grandfathering of the veterinary hospital currently in business at 1321 East Mansfield Street, as you had proposed in our previous discussion, and which you stated had been achieved with other veterinary businesses in the city. While under new management, a veterinary hospital has been at 1321 East Mansfield for a number of years without any adverse effect on the community. I appreciate your efforts to make Bucyrus an even more business-friendly community. Best regards, this was dated 11/16/2018, Todd Strickland, MD, and that is all the communications.
Okay, thank you. Planning Committee reported favorably to Bucyrus City Council on November the 20th 2018 to the amendment proposal. Does the zoning administrator have any comments?
Yeah, sure. The letter that I had addressed to you guys pretty much covered all the bases there. The one thing I would add, Dr. Strickland's letter, he was concerned about rezoning and losing the animal hospital out there, which actually would not have been affected as it would have been grandfathered in anyway. Due to the zoning changes, it would have been allowed to stay as it was a conditional use in the neighborhood business district. We changed it to GB. It would have been a permitted use or a grandfathered use moving forward. This isn't really in reference to any specific, request or anything. It's just a matter of bookkeeping really that I came across in my research for the previous zoning change. And I just thought it needed some clarification in the code.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Hill?
Just thank you for being proactive.
Thank you. Planning committee comments. Mr. McKeever?
The only comment I have is I think this is a good proposal to change this, to allow that, or to allow other businesses to expand into the city.
Okay. Thank you. Any other council members have any comments? Okay. Anyone who is a proponent for the proposal, if you would like to approach the microphone? No one? Oh, I'm sorry. State your name and address, please.
Kurt Fankhauser, 1675 South Sandusky. Am I allowed to ask Landon question references for?
If you just address the council, we'll forward the question, we'll direct the question to him.
I just heard his letter that was read, and is it my understanding that currently the neighborhood business is the only zoning district that allows veterinary offices currently, and that the general business has no allowance at all?
Mr. Hill? Yeah.
Yes, I believe so. I believe the neighborhood business district, well, I know it is conditional use in the neighborhood business district. It is not a permitted use explicitly in the general business district, which is why I wanted to address the discrepancy, because we do have veterinaries in the general business district, and I feel that they are in line with the purpose of the general business district. So like I said, it was kind of just a bookkeeping thing. I think it was intended to be there probably, but it wasn't. So I thought it was necessary to change it.
Okay, that brings my next question. How was one allowed to get started here in the last 5 years on Mary Street, which is in the general business district, if it wasn't permitted?
Talking about the Bucyrus Veterinary. Used to be in the old Powers building.
I don't think that is a general business district.
Yeah, I just looked it up on the city zoning map.
It is.
And yeah, oversight, I don't know the answer to that question. I wasn't with the city at that point or even in this current position. But examples like that is exactly why I want to change it.
Okay, I'm in favor of changing it just because it's, allowing more businesses to come in. But, yeah, I think, the city might have got into like a situation there by allowing that one to go in an area that wasn't allowed, and that may have set a precedent for other situations. That's all. I just comment there on that.
Okay, thank you. Any opponents? None? Okay, this needs to be referred back to the planning committee for further study to be brought before council. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McKeever, second by Mr. Trucca to refer the subject back to the planning committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion passed. Thank you. The planning committee meeting will be held on December the 20th, 2018 in council chambers as part of our regular committee meetings. We do not need to excuse anyone for not being here this evening. I need a motion then to adjourn the public hearing.
Madam President?
Yes.
Can I just ask you one question?
Sure.
Okay. I was just thinking as we were talking about the businesses moving into the residential areas and, you know, just, and I don't know that this specific change is gonna affect it, but as businesses move into residential areas, noise can be a concern at times. And I know that from some other issues, there's been expressed concern that our noise ordinance doesn't have a specific decibel level. So I don't know if this would be the appropriate time to refer that to a committee.
We can do that at the next
for
council
review,
meeting if
or
you'd
just
like
wait
it
till the
done.
next council. Okay,
We can do that at the next council meeting,
okay,
okay?
so we're bringing up.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn then, please.
So move.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Foat, second by Mr. Myers. To adjourn, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. We are adjourned at 7:12. Yeah. Thank you.
PM, members present, Dan Wireman, Kevin Myers, Andrew Shaw, and myself. The special finance committee meeting was called by committee members Dan Wireman, Kevin Myers, Andrew Shaw, and Chair Monica Sacks to discuss a current advance in the 2018 budget. The meeting was called to order by SAC at 7:15 PM. Number 2, year-end advance. Auditor, needs authorization for, an advance from the general fund to cover year-end encumbrances for monies that have not been yet received. And that would be, it'd be the airport grant for $8,000. That's the only one on there that we still need to do.
Yeah, and there's a commenter at the bottom of that.
And these amounts may be reduced if funds are received before year end and will be returned to the general fund in 2019. So,
As we get here towards the end of the year, sometimes they're here and they're supposed to be here, and sometimes they don't arrive until after the first of the year. So she's trying to keep all this in line. So what you'll need is you'll need a motion to.
So moved.
First by Kevin, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Number 3 is the 2019 budget.
Okay, the only change that was made from what we discussed the last time we were here was the this $8,000 that had to go into the airport. So you can see on the page here is a general run-through of what the estimated year-end, for each of the funds, what the estimated year-end balance is, what the anticipated 19 revenue would be, and what is available then for the 19 budget, and then the actual, the budget that's sitting here before you, and what the ending balance would be if it were, everything were done totally and completely by the budget. Yeah. We can only wish that would happen. But you can see like a couple of these funds, the street, CM&R, and the stormwater utility, they've got quite large ending balances at the end of next year because that is money that we're going to be carrying and working on the EPA requirement of the storm separation. So the monies that come in, we only draw on the monies. My understanding is as we need them, we don't take them in advance. They're only given to us as they're needed, but this is anticipation of what would be coming in and then preparing us at the end of this for the 2020 year. So that's why you see such a big year-end balance for those two funds this year and then a continuing balance into the following year. So everything's in the black, which is a good thing. And you had the opportunity to take this with you from the last meeting, and if you had any questions regarding any of these items or questions as to what was going on with the budget, they were to be brought up this evening for discussion. And then, of course, we need a request for legislation for the meeting on the 18th so that we can bring the budget to full council for consideration. So we start off, questions? You had a chance to look it over, are there any items?
Well, yeah, I had a question right off the
Okay.
bat.
Go right ahead, Dan.
Maybe you guys know why when I looked at this, I looked at revenues were about, revenues were, oh, here it's on. Revenues were about 26 point, or
The page.
revenues were 24.3 million.
The page are you on?
Just at the very last page of revenues, where
Very
it
last
says
page
total.
of revenues.
I think it was 24.3, something like that.
Page 15.
And the budget was 26.7 million, so that's a couple, 2.4 million difference. Why is that? Shouldn't they be kind of close?
Probably because the carrier.
I don't know, I just,
What page are you on again, Dan?
15.
very last line. on
Page
this one.
15 and page 33.
Just the totals of,
Are there any,
total revenues and the total.
are there some revenues that are in this part of the?
And 15 was the other page. 22.
I'm sure Joyce could probably ran a lot by exactly why that was, but I just thought that was kind of,
I would say carrier was right. This is right.
Yeah, she would know exactly, that is,
but wouldn't the carryover be put in the beginning budget? I would think.
That's
I
why.
don't know, just something maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's always been like that, I don't know.
I don't have last year's.
I don't know.
She's actually sitting on a budget meeting this evening at her church. See if I can get her to answer her phone.
I was just looking at that and thought that was interesting. I mean, is it are you expecting?
Hey Joyce, I've got a question for you. Okay, Dan Wirebaugh brought up that we were looking at total revenue that is expected in the city, is what is it? 24,352,909. But if you look at the last page of expenses, you see that it's at 26,687,449. Oh. Okay, so we balance from the cash revenue, the cash that is in there, cash balance in each fund, plus the revenue. So that's what you're looking at here is just, it doesn't include the cash balance up here at the top of page 15 then. Okay? Okay?
The revenue is just what we're bringing in.
Yes, yes. Okay?
I can add some.
And, okay, any other questions for Joyce? I may call you back. Okay, thank you, Joyce. Bye.
Madam Chairman?
Yeah.
Everything that's in the budget is not spent. You know, if we just keep that in mind too. We put it in the budget if it's needed, but, you know, during the year, we monitor that very closely. So we try to have, you know, some of the funds we spend, you know, up to 100%. But other ones, we may only spend 75 or 80%. If, you know, we watch tax revenue as it comes in during the year, and we, very frugal, we just don't automatically spend it. It's in there if we need it, and tax revenue is there for it. And but typically, I don't know how the year end is gonna shake out. I think in 2017, I believe we were about 90% of what was in the budget, which on a budget of $20-some million, that's a couple $1 million a year, so.
I think one of the other things that as far as checks and balances are concerned, each of the supervisors in every department, every month, receives a copy of what their expenses are, or how much money is left in each of these accounts. And when they fill out a requisition that could turn into a purchase order, they have to specify which account all this is coming out of. So it's not just the administration that sees where the money is and the auditor. It's also each one of these supervisors in each one of the departments that is responsible for his or her own department has to know exactly how much money. We have one we're a department here for city council, and we follow the same rules as everybody else does. So it's a good check and balance of 3 different ways of making sure that the money that we're asking to spend, we know is there. Okay? Other questions about the budget? Okay, everybody's happy with the budget?
I didn't say that.
Oh, I don't know what you say.
Okay, so, we need a motion to send this to full council.
Yes, and we need legislation, yes.
Motion to send it to full council next Tuesday.
So moved.
Second by Kevin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So,
Second.
Adjourn at 7:26 PM.
Thank you. The legislation will be drawn, and it looks a little bit different than what you normally see when it arrives because of how many pages it is. It's very long, and it takes they're going to be busy between now and Tuesday getting it ready.
No guarantees.
Always guaranteed.